Penistone Church, Emley, Stocksbridge Park Steel, Huddersfield Town, Barnsley, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, Sheffield United. This is Saturday Morning Football and Banter, only on Penistone FM.
Yes, and a very good morning to you. Welcome at 3 minutes after 9. It's Saturday the 2nd of November. And can I just say thank you to everybody that's messaged me over the last 6 or 7 months saying, when you're bringing football and banter back, we miss it. Well, we've brought it back for you. We're here now, and it's going to be a regular feature. And I'm delighted to say I've got a fabulous panel starting the whole thing off again. Can I introduce them to you? First of all, Club Secretary from Penistone Church, it's Dave Hampshire. Good morning.
Good morning,
And
Steve.
Coffee Monitor as well.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. Keith Hackett's former FIFA referee and former general manager of the PGMOL. That's the professional body of the professional referees, of course. Keith's with us. Good morning to you, Keith.
Good morning, Steve.
And thank you for being with us. And Luke Smith, who people will say, who's Luke Smith, as I did when I first contacted him. But let's first of all say good morning, Luke.
Morning, Steve.
And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Quite an extensive playing career in non-league, playing for various different clubs. And then once I was 32 years old, broke my ankle, retrained and went as a sports therapist and worked at Sheffield United for 5 years there in League One.
So you must have some stories to tell then.
Got a couple of stories, yeah.
But maybe not on air. Keep them to off air.
Yeah, depends which manager you want to talk about.
Yeah. What would you say, you're non-league? I mean, Ossett, Frickley, Buxton, Gateshead, Brigtown, Curzon Ashton, Bridlington, Pontefract, Glasshoughton. You've been around, haven't you?
Yeah, I like to get my mileage in.
Anyway, welcome to the panel.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you with us. And finally, from BBC Radio Sheffield, Football Heaven, we're delighted to welcome Rob Staten. Good morning, Rob.
Morning, Steve.
How's your season going so far?
Oh, you know, nice and quiet, innit? No bargoes or anything to talk about
Never
this
a
week.
dull moment, is there, really,
No.
in South Yorkshire? Anyway, lovely to have you all with us. We'll be talking about our local professional teams shortly, but we always start with our grassroots football, and we start, of course, with our home team, Penistone Church, in the NCEL Premier Division. Dave, I'll come to you first of all. I mean, the season as a whole so far, sitting in third, I mean, being first, being second, you're yo-yoing up and down. Are you happy with performances so far?
Yeah, bit inconsistent at times. Like as you said, we went on a good run. We were undefeated, went to top at league, and we were points clear, and even teams behind us. If they won the games in hand, I think there were only one team that could overtake us. But then I think we lost 5 on bounce, counting the FA Vars at Abbey as well. And I don't know what happened. We just stopped putting ball in net. Really, we were playing well. I mean, we went to Albion Sports and we lost 3-0. And when I tested people who were way better side, they look at you going out. But we were, and that were on AstroTurf, which they're used to. And we played them off the park, but we didn't put it in net.
I can remember last year, John Whitehead would come in, part of the management team. He came in, and one of the phrases he used on a regular basis was consistently inconsistent. And it's like a cyclic thing, isn't it? It seems everybody has their moments, don't they, when they go off the boil a little bit. Is this Penistone Church's moment?
I think that's absolutely spot on. That apart from Wednesday night, I'd say the vast majority of times when we've just not been good enough to win, we've been on the ball with the game. Wednesday night were a huge disappointment because we rock up sometimes, and I think we think we're better than what we are, and that was a classic on Wednesday. No disrespect to Maltby, they deserved to win. They battled hard. The pitch is absolutely atrocious there, as everybody knows. There's no perfect roll of the ball. It bounces up, bounces here, bounces there. But it's same for both teams, and they get the ball, they get it forward, and they go for the first balls, the second balls, and the third. And we just managed to challenge for the first balls, and that's the only time that I'll be disappointed in them, that we got out fought, and that's not acceptable.
Is it a case sometimes, though, that when you go on a good run, you become confident and maybe a little bit overconfident, and when you turn up, then
I think that's exactly it. We thought we could just rock up and win, and we're on a good run. We're playing well. Maltby, lower half at Division 1. We don't, we can beat these, and we couldn't.
So I want to talk about the management team and the passion that the management team put into their roles, because Steve Lenthal, one of the team managers, gave an end of match, post-match review to David Briggs. And when I talk about passion, I want you to listen to this interview now and just listen to the emotion in his voice, because it sounds to me like he's not far off breaking into tears because he's so upset. But just listen.
Disappointing result tonight, losing 2-1 to Maltby. Tough one to take. Disappointed with how we've performed. We created 2 great chances in the first 5 minutes, which we should have probably took. But then I think after that, in the first half, we were trying to play on a pitch what wasn't fit to play on. In the middle areas, it was hard to get the ball down. It's cut up, it's a bobbly pitch, and we're trying to play. And we said that before the game, that it wasn't a pitch to play on. It was about trying to get it out to us wingers and isolate the full-backs, get crosses into the box. When we did put crosses in the box, we hurt them. We've created 2 or 3 chances in the first half. We've hit the bar. Scrivs had a great effort in the first 5 minutes, and then another one, I can't remember who it dropped to, but they've all come from us getting balls into the box. So not to do that more often is disappointing. As football goes, they get their first chance and he hits it from the edge of the box. Nobody closes him down. We just allow him to run up and hit the shot, and it finds the bottom corner, so he finds himself 1-0 down. We don't even react to that really. We're still trying to do the wrong things. We get a free kick, get the ball into the box, and Wayne gets a good flick on, and the keeper, you probably look at the keeper and say you should have done better, but you find yourself 1-1 just before half time, and something that we could build on. We've got in at half time. We said that we had to be better. We had to start and get Scriv, Naif and Noah on the ball, and we had to isolate the full-backs and get the balls into the box. We said with Jack Lenthal, with his long throws, we could make it dangerous in the box. I think we've proven that. Every time we had a throw deep in their half, we always either got a corner or an half chance from it. That worked. The first 5 minutes of the second half, we've opened them up. We've got Naif going. Keeper's pulled a great save off and put it onto the bar. We've had 2 or 3 more chances where we've huffed and puffed, but I think that then what we do is we seem to have 5-10 minutes where we're on top, and if it doesn't go to plan, we seem to go into a shell a little bit and start making bad decisions, doing wrong things in the wrong areas. The goal in the last 2 or 3 minutes of normal time, and it's just a bad goal. I think we win the first header and then we don't pick any seconds up. We allow the ball back into the box. It's bouncing about. We don't clear his lines. We're trying to usher balls out what aren't going to go out, and then the lad gets a pop shot and it finds its way through Lawler. Lawler's held his hand up, said he should be done better, but like we said, it should never have got there in the first place. So again, a disappointing goal. We've just said to the lads that we're disappointed as a group. We're disappointed for the club. We just don't think that there were enough there tonight for us to win the game. People will say who's watched that we've had chances. Chances, yes, but performance not at the best. And it needs to be better on Saturday. Listen, we've got an open book now with 22, 23 players to choose from for Saturday, and we'll make sure that we pick the squad that we think will get as a result on Saturday. We've got a few with niggly injuries. We've told them to be honest with us. We don't want anybody less than 100% fit to go into Saturday against Bottisford. All in all, Dave, disappointed. We have to move on to Saturday and get a massive reaction and hopefully get back to winning ways in the league. So, up the church.
Thank you, Steve. Clearly disappointed with the performance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Clearly.
Like anybody that went and watched, shocking. He's right, their keeper pulled a good save off, and Lawler made an ash of the second goal, but to be fair to Lawler, he's pulled some brilliant saves off throughout the season, and you can't knock him for one mistake, but it was one of them. It went through his hands and legs, and he was clearly disappointed at the end. And yeah, you can see the passion. Look, them three have got enough passion in abundance. Them three, I mean, obviously you know what you get with Lenny, and 2 misconducts and a sending off so far from him, but it's all to do with passion, and it's sometimes I've spoke to him. I said, look, you just need to channel it a little bit, but it's hard for him to. He puts in the moment. It's difficult, isn't it? But he puts a lot of effort in, probably a bit more than JB. Everything goes through Lenny, and phone calls this, phone calls that, and he does some organising, phoning up other people. So he puts a little bit more in. And when you're putting that effort in, and then you see the players not do what they should have done, it's usually disappointing. And I'm not bragging, but throughout my playing career, nobody could say I came off that park and I didn't put 110% in. And there's a few in that team that still did, like your Danny Howes, always 110%, always. But there were one or two, and they know they are, and they need to rectify it today. Simple as that. That's if they give them a chance.
So you put that down as a blip, right? And this afternoon it's home to Buttersford Town.
Yeah.
Not going to be an easy game.
There's no easy game in NCL. We found that at Goole. We went to Goole and got stumped 3-2, I think it was there. They hadn't got a point on board then. But they played really, really well. I can't understand why they are bottom, but, well, I can, because they have a turnover of players, like, unbelievable how many players they have coming in and out of goal. I don't know what's happening there. But so there's no consistency there. But the other teams, every one of them there can come and do it. Winterton came and, unlucky for Winterton, really. They deserved a draw at that game, and so no easy games.
On a positive, let's talk about attendances, because come rain or shine, they come down and see you, don't they?
Unbelievable. Luke's just said, how many do you think we'll get today? Probably around 250ish, maybe 300 again. They turn up and they support us and they back us, and you can't fault it. But when we go away, all right, there weren't so many there at Maltby, but we take. Who did we play last week? Who were it last week? Last away game, Keith. Anyway, they were about
Rossington.
Yeah, Rossington. I bet we had 50 to 60 out of that crowd. It weren't the biggest crowd, but I bet we had 50 to 60 people there. They just follow us. And the boys appreciate that. They know it. It's just that Maltby were a blip. And so, like you said, we'll turn to positives. But, can't fault the crowd, the people coming and everything there. Brilliant.
Good. Let's move to the NCL Division 1 then, and we'll bring you in on this one, Luke, because last night you were at the Worsborough match. Tell us a little bit about that.
We went to watch Worsborough midweek against Wakefield. We know what they're all about. Any opportunity they get, they're going to put it in box, whether it's a free kick. They've got young Owen Sykes, who can throw it nearly at length at field. So he plays left back and takes throw-ins on right, on left, and they make Rory Delap's throw-ins look short.
What about him at Tamworth? Did you see his goal?
There were one.
He can score a goal nearly from a
Dave,
goal.
leave that for later.
All right.
He took one last night and it landed. It missed everybody in box. It went that far, yeah. So, to be fair, Wunwell just did what they do. Got 2-0 up at half time. Should have been 4 or 5. Should have been out of sight, for being honest. Moz at half time gave a rallying call in changing rooms. We came straight back out, got at them, and we're leading 3-2. They had a lad sin-binned. I think that gave us the onus to take it to them and get in front. And then they've scored with a bit of a breakaway goal at 93rd minute for a 3 apiece. So overall, if somebody said to us at half time, will you take a point, we'd have took a point. But in 89th minute, if somebody said, will you take a point now, we'd have been disappointed. But looking forward to it, I'm just looking at the table in front of me now. With that point yesterday, went up to 13th. And other results last night, I think there were 3 games played in our league, and we're only 11 points off playoffs with 3 games in hand. So
it's doable then.
It's doable, yeah.
When you look at the league as it is now, I mean, normally, traditionally, year after year, you see the same teams at the top, same teams in the middle, but it looks different this year, or is it just me?
I think a lot of that were down to the restructure. You Retford FC, Retford United, Staveley all moved out of the league.
Yeah.
For some reason, Lou's been kept in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going there Tuesday night.
Tuesday night
we're at Lau, the bonfire night, so travelling home, we'll be able to see some fireworks. It'll be all right. But obviously, it's just hard trying to get teams together midweeks when you're travelling to Laos and things due to work commitments and other commitments, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
it is at our level.
Yeah.
Look, it's difficult, isn't it? And a trip to Louth on a Tuesday night, that's one hell of a distance. It's one of the longest you'll go, isn't it?
yeah, it is the longest.
I bet it's longest.
We should have played them on a Saturday, but we won in the Vars.
That's your own fault. Then.
So that's it's his own fault. And that's
what we do. Look out first round.
That's his reward.
So you concentrate on league.
Yeah, but as you look at that table, Aubrey are a very good side, sitting top. Durham District have come in this time, quite well backed. If I'm being honest with you,
Very well backed.
Financially. Athersley, you'd probably say the surprise package at the minute.
Well, they are, and I was going to mention that because we did a special a few weeks ago and we talked about Athersley, didn't we? And they got relegated from the Premier League. They struggled at the time. I mean, just by the grace of God, they got saved from relegation from the First Division, and then here we are in 4th place. I mean, it's a great turnaround for the lads.
Yeah, they're doing really well, aren't they? Have you played them?
We played them first game of season, Friday night. Drew 0-0. We went down to 10 men after 40 minutes, and you thought they're going to come and have a go at us now, and they never did.
No.
They never had a go, and it was 0-0, and you thought, yeah, they'll be a mid-table-ish. And then they went on a run. They just went on a really good run, and it's like anything in this league. Once you get on a run, it takes some stopping. I think
Be good lads buzzing anyway. I can tell you that when I spoke to him.
Oh yeah, it will be. I almost asked him to come in because I looked at the position. I thought, wow, but I thought his enthusiasm would take over the programme. So I'll leave it until it peters out a little bit.
Yeah, wait, well, they've lost a few. We'll then ask him on.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Luke.
No problem.
Keith, let's just go to the Northern Premier League. So I know you do watch some of this sometimes. We've got 3 teams in there at the moment that we concentrate on more than any others. Emley, Stocksbridge and Sheffield FC. I mean, Emley, it's the first season in this league and they're doing well, aren't they?
I think it's remarkable. I hope that they're getting big crowds because I think the players, the team, the organisation there is excellent. We shall miss the derby games because they give us big crowds when they play us. But a terrific start for them. I was at Stocksbridge midweek. I didn't go to Maltby. I went to watch the reserves, chatted to Stocksbridge people. They the previous night played at Concert, County Durham, and they got home at 2 a.m. This is the point about grassroots football.
This is semi-professional football, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Makes Louth an easy job then, don't it?
Yeah, and so I think Stocksbridge, I think deserve bigger crowds. I think we're lucky at Penistone. We have staff who work at getting the crowds. And by the way, I'd just like to thank the volunteers at Penistone Church. Our ground at the moment is as good as any Football League ground. The quality of the playing surface is superb. Of course, we've fitted the new lights. Dave and the team behind the scenes do a remarkable job. Everybody is complimenting us on the new LED lights. And we've also fitted 2 stands, so people who come along can stay out the wet, which we obviously get during the season, and sit in comfort or stand in comfort, enjoy the pints. And the service of food now is remarkable. I mean, I watched somebody walking away with a huge beef burger last week, and I'm thinking, Christ, is he going to eat that? I mean, it was huge.
Yeah.
So I think that as a club, we're really well run, and I know I'm going slightly off cue, but there's no doubt. I mean, when we look at Silsden last week, we outplayed them in the first half. We were 2-0 up. We played some super football. We came out in the second half, and we just fell to pieces. We gifted goals that must have had Lenny, John and Brett going absolutely spareless because the way we capitulated in the second half against Silsden was really quite poor.
Yeah.
But in the Premier League, of course, Sheffield lost their top manager to Matlock Town during the season.
Indeed, and he's with us next week. Ryan's with us next week.
Yeah.
Jamie Yates taken over, of course, but not having the best season, have they?
Well, I think it's difficult when you take over. I think Ryan is such a good manager, such a good people person. I think what he was doing at Sheffield FC was just more than you expect from a manager. He was involved with the spectators, promoting the club. I hope that he's getting success at Matlock. But Sheffield now are looking as though they're struggling, second from bottom.
And I did miss a team out, Garforth Town. It was always a pleasant trip to Garforth Town, wasn't it? And an entertaining game whenever we went to Garforth Town. But the mid-table...
Entertaining. Not always the game bit, was it? But we had some entertaining moments, shall I say, with crowd and whatever.
Yeah.
Right, okay,
Can I just come in there? Just to give Stocks just a bit, give Ian Richards a bit of credit there. They again just managed to escape relegation. He lost loads of players, and to being third on their budget, it's a bit like us. He's budgeting that league, but it's like us, we are budgeting our league. And to be in third place when you've got Emily above, who've probably got 5 times more budget than Stocky. So he's doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some big games this afternoon. Heaton Stannington host Emley, Liversedge host Stocksbridge Park Steel, and Sheffield host Ossett United. So we wish the three of them the very best of luck this afternoon. Right, we're going to talk professional football.
Penistone Church, Emley, Stocksbridge Park Steel, Huddersfield Town, Barnsley, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, Sheffield United. This is Saturday morning football and banter, only on Penistone FM.
Yes, and a very good morning, Chief. You have just joined us, Penistone FM, the breakfast show, 9:26 the time. My guests in the studio this morning, Dave Hampshire, Keith Hackett, Luke Smith and Rob Staten. Let's go to Rob first of all. We're talking about FA Cup action first of all. Last night, Huddersfield Town played Tamworth at Tamworth. I was going to say lucky enough to be. I was unlucky enough to be there. Finished Tamworth 1, Huddersfield Town 0. Not the best performance for a televised football game, Rob.
No, I mean, look, the drama of Tamworth beating Huddersfield was quite interesting, but I was really disappointed with Huddersfield. I'm surprised as well, someone who has watched Michael Duff at Barnsley, watched his teams play, watched the success he's had there. I know it didn't work for him at Swansea, but to see a team that he's led, that has actually been doing all right in the league, play as badly as that, it was heartless, there was no fight. I mean, the goal's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, if the keeper just lets it go in, it doesn't count, does it? I mean, he's punched it into his own goal. Every cross, it was as if it was on sort of like some heat-seeking radar into the keeper's gloves. The ball went into the box. You see at the end, they sort of walked it into the box instead, and there was chaos. But every time they just played it in from wide areas, the keeper was just straight down the keeper's throat every single time. There's so many players there who we've watched, or I've watched on the Football Heaven patch in South Yorkshire, North Derbyshire, that you expect better from them. We've seen, Wilds and Kane and Lees and Mikel Miller and people like that, performing much better. So I was really surprised about that, and it speaks to maybe there being some issues still at Huddersfield, that simply going down into League One and getting a good manager in and refreshing the squad a little bit, there's still a lot of work to do there.
And I think he's admitted that when he does his press releases. He does say that it's work in progress and there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, and he's very honest. His interview last night was brutally honest about the team, and I like Michael Duff. I think he's a manager with a ton of potential, and it kind of makes you wonder if Barnsley had got promoted when they beat Wednesday in the final. What would have happened? Would he have stayed? Would he have still got to Swansea? I don't know. I'm sure he'll sort it out, but he needs time, and that's the thing. When you listen to the chairman at Huddersfield last week doing an interview with Radio Leeds talking about top two, it has to be top 2 and all of this, and you think, well, you ain't going to finish first, do you?
But is that the problem, though, do you think, that maybe the cup didn't matter to them?
I don't know, maybe, but
if you look between Tamworth and you look at Huddersfield, Tamworth wanted it, Huddersfield didn't, did they?
Yeah, I think there's probably it's probably some truth to that within the players' mindset. Like Tamworth will have been, their players, as soon as that draw was made, they'll have been all going to bed, and the first hour in the line in bed they'll be dreaming of scoring the winner. I don't know if they'll have dreamed about it just been a long throw that the keeper punches into his own net, but
Maxwell thought that, I know.
But they'll have gone dreaming about that. The Huddersfield players probably thought, we've got to get to Tamworth on a Friday night, the pitch is what it is. It's a bit different, and it took their eye off the ball, but you've still got to be professional about that. You're paid a lot of money to make sure that you don't end up on the back page of the papers the next day, and they haven't done that.
Keith, you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan, so neutral when you're watching this game. I mean, was it a good game for you? Or, I mean, you look at it differently to most people because you're on the referee's side, aren't you? But, I mean, your thoughts on that game?
I think Huddersfield didn't turn up. I think what has been said is absolutely spot on. I think it's deplorable that a team, any player would not want to progress in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And I share the views of Rob in terms of Duff, because when he brought a team to Penistone early in his career, in fact, I think he'd just joined Barnsley, talked very fluently, and he's obviously a very knowledgeable guy. I was really impressed with him. And I think this morning they're probably in Huddersfield Town and getting wrapped a bit because they deserve it. I think, when professional players don't turn up, it is shocking, because ultimately at the end of the day, a player's career, just like a referee's career, is short, and you want every game to go well. And I can't understand it. These guys shouldn't need motivation. The history of the Cup, and the further you advance, you're giving supporters a lot back. So for me, I would have thought that television last night had decided that they picked the wrong match. And to be honest with you, towards the end, I was watching my laptop rather than actually watching the game, because I think it was poor.
Yeah. Well, we were in the stand, and I can tell you. In fact, I text Dave and said, all of you actually said, I hope you're watching the match, because my visibility is shocking here. But you said your visibility was poor as well. Is that because you didn't want to watch it?
Yeah, what I was watching was shocking. I thought my visibility is not very good either.
Yeah. Right. So, Luke, I know you're more of a grassroots person, but of course you've had your time in professional football as well. I mean, did you follow Huddersfield Town at all?
I've been over a couple of times when I've been in Barnsley as a fan with Barnsley. I won at grounds. I never worked at when at Sheffield United, but it's a big club, isn't it? It's a big club, and you wouldn't expect them to just get turned over last night with really no effort. It'd be interesting to see who Tamworth play in the week if they've got a game.
Yeah.
Whether they've put all their eggs in one basket and run out of steam again in that one, which tends to do. But it's like you said with professional footballers, it's on telly. There's a bit of professional pride, isn't there, that you don't want to get turned over.
It would have been interesting, because towards the back end, Huddersfield Town had a number of shots on goal, and obviously didn't score. But had they scored it, I think it would have gone to extra time, wouldn't it? And I think the Tamworth lads would have run out of steam then, because they did put a shift in, and I'm not sure they would have been fit enough to do that extra 30 minutes.
Are they part-time?
It said part-time.
I think they are part-time.
Yeah.
Somebody was saying part. There was an interesting comment made when we were there, because they were saying they couldn't get enough people from Tamworth to actually buy tickets, so they'd opened it up to the Birmingham fans to come and watch it. So I don't know how true that was. There were 1,500 people there, so I mean, for them it was a good crowd. Good crowd though. Financially, for them it would have been a good crowd.
And they won £45,000, didn't they?
Is that what they get?
That's what they get for going through. And they've already won 9, I think, for the winning in the last round, because that's when they came in, I think, in the last round. So they won 9 there and 45 then, and if they lose in the next one, they get 20.
Yeah.
So they're in a good place then, aren't
they? It's not bad, is it?
No. Guaranteed money from being just on telly as well, aren't they now?
Well, yeah.
For highlights and everything.
Yeah. I tell you what, the telly threw some money at that. There were cameras everywhere. I've never seen. In fact, the car
park.
They
turned half of them off though.
Just Huddersfield fans running around turning them off.
Yeah. And they're gone.
Look, we have enough banter from everybody else, man.
Right, let's go to Keith again. Port Vale versus Barnsley. Now, this is going to be an interesting one, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is Darren Moore's first visit back to Barnsley since the Wembley game, unless he went with Huddersfield, and I don't know if he did. No, because he was in the Championship, wasn't he?
Yeah.
This is because, I mean, how good is Darren Moore doing at Port Vale, Keith?
Well, I think we all know he's got potential, but it just doesn't work for him, does it? I mean, at the end of the day, I want Barnsley to win, so I'm with Barnsley. I think it'll be a tough ask. I think you never know in the FA Cup, but I think it will be a very good game to watch. I'll tell you, having refereed at Port Vale, that is one hell of a pitch. It's massive. You seem to be running forever. So I hope that long balls will not be the order of the day, because that'll put a lot of pressure on the referee. I'm telling you. Barnsley to win for me.
Barnsley to win for you. Rob, let's have your thoughts on this one. I mean, you'll probably... Well, you do know both managers, don't you now? So, I mean, what's your thoughts on this?
I know Darren Moore a little better than I've got to know Darryl Clark so far. But, look, Barnsley, it's hard to work them out because, there was a couple of weeks ago, probably more like a month ago, when fans were ringing up saying, unbelievable this, Darryl Clark's done an amazing job, and then they have a couple of bad results, and it's not sure about Darryl Clark,
Well, it goes back to that consistently inconsistent, doesn't it?
But that's it. But they have lost players in the summer. It is a bit of a revamp for everything, and it's going to take a bit of time. And then you've got Port Vale, who obviously doing very well, spent a lot of money. So I think this is a difficult game. It's not the kind of draw you want, really, if you're Barnsley. Port Vale away. So I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if Barnsley just got half an eye on that league and might end up slipping up in this one.
Luke, your thoughts on this one? As a Barnsley fan, I'm guessing. Then?
As a Barnsley fan, first of all, I hope the secretary's done the job and registered the players. Obviously, they got kicked out last year for playing an ineligible player, didn't they?
Yeah.
I imagine a club doing that. Can you, Dave?
Even worse, doing it twice. Cheers, Steve.
I think I agree with Rob on this one. It could go either way. I've been 4 or 5 times to Walkwell this season as a fan and come away disappointed most times. Just seem to have this habit of 55, 60 minutes. We're going to, not just one substitute, we're going to throw 3 on at a time, and it just seems to alter the flow of the game. And I go back to the Stockport game, quite comfortable, should have been 2 or 3 up, and changed the front line and just gave Stockport the emphasis to just come and get at us. And start back in. Really, really negative, if I'm being honest. But I go back to what Keith said there. I've been in Port Vale, and it is a big pitch. It seems to be bigger than any other pitch in the Football League. And it's one that I always say is not my favourite ground. Went there Boxing Day a few years ago with Sheffield United, and 25 to 5 it just started to snow, a little sprinkling. And all of a sudden by 5 o'clock it was a foot deep, and it took us 7 hours to get home.
on that day, Keith Edwards, who was with us at Radio Sheffield, had to abandon his car getting home, and it took I can't remember the cop. I think Jonathan Buchan was there for us, who's now at Radio Leeds, and it took him about 7 or 8 hours to get home. Incredible day that.
Yeah. We got to back to Bramall Lane and couldn't dig us cars out, so we ended up all staying at a hotel. There were people on settees and everything. It were unbelievable night. Yeah.
So, prediction for that game?
I'll go 1-0 Barnsley.
1-0 Barnsley for a Barnsley win. And Dave, your thoughts?
I like they've all said, you can't tell what Barnsley team's going to turn up, can you? I watched them against Huddersfield a few weeks ago when we beat them 2-0, and then you can't. The other game you just dismiss a little bit, and they were shocking, absolutely shocking. And then the next game they go and win, so away. So I'm hoping that the decent Barnsley side turns up, and I'm going same as Luke, 1-0.
1-0, right. Let's see what happens. There will be text messages flying around this afternoon. I'm pretty sure.
Dave Dodd's already been on to them. Don't pick Barnsley to win. So I have done.
Right, final one in the FA Cup then is Rotherham versus Cheltenham Town. Luke, we'll come to you first of all on this one.
You're expecting a reaction from Rotherham, aren't we? On the last few weeks, the results. Obviously, when you watch Steve Evans' interviews after, they're not as smooth as they should be. And if I'm led right to believe that he said that they're going to go again in January, aren't they, and dip into transfer market again, which seems like a lot of players that is just going back to, as Dave said, with non-league and Gould having a turnaround. You've got to have some consistency, haven't you? Yeah. And you just can't keep fetching bodies in when it's not going right. But I would expect Rotherham to win today.
You hear a lot of talk about Rotherham playing well but not getting the results. I mean, how long can that go on, though? I mean, they've got to start getting some results at some stage, haven't they?
I think just watching the interviews and speaking to fans of Rotherham, there just seems like no style, or they're not sure what their style should be. I think he went on about playing it out wide, didn't it, the other week, and fans all said they didn't get it out wide once. But It seems like he's a bit like Batfink, isn't it? When things are going wrong, he puts his shield up and deflects away.
And refuses to shake the manager's hand and walks down the tunnel.
Yeah.
Rob, do you know Steve Evans? Have you had the chance to interview him?
Yeah, I know Steve very, very well. And I was at that game last weekend, Stevenage, and the first half, this is, I know that you tend to say these kind of things quite a lot, but it was legitimately one of the worst halves of football I've seen. Second half didn't really start any differently, but in fairness to Rotherham, they got over the line. They beat Stevenage. They did what they had to do in the end, and they needed to win because there was a lot of pressure on Steve Evans after that Leyton Orient game. Not just the way they lost, but I think the interview afterwards. A lot of people were unhappy about that. So I think they just needed to win. They got the win. I don't know. I think the expectation was they've signed a lot of players that they were going to have a great season. They were going to get promoted, or they'd be in the hunt. And whenever they've kind of took a step forward, they've ended up taking one back. So I think they'll win tonight. But that Barnsley game next Friday, that's a big game for both clubs. I think if Rotherham went to Oakwell and won, for example, a lot of Rotherham fans would be like, okay, fair enough. They've had a bit of a difficult start, but the squad's turned around. But if they go to Oakwell next week and lose, watch out, there'll be a fan reaction to that.
And I was going to mention the fans. I mean, he came back as a hero, didn't he, when they brought him back? And then, I mean, you can't guarantee that things are going to be the same when someone comes back. And I guess it hasn't worked as well as they expected it to. So how much time do the fans give a manager?
Well, I think fans don't give managers much time at all. This is not to cast aspersions on fans, but there are a lot. It's often like there's maybe a noisy minority, maybe rather than a vocal majority. But there were some fans. I think most of I was really surprised about this was directed at Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
Not so much Steve Evans. You think, what's Tony Stewart done for Rotherham? Well, he's took them to a brand new stadium. They've had, I think, it's like 6 promotions under Tony Stewart as chairman. They've won what's now known as the Bristol Street Motors Trophy.
Yeah.
They've had we have I host the Millers Legends nights there, and they have legends from the last 20 years, not 40 years ago, clubs like Wednesday United sometimes. So they have actually got they've had some great times under Tony Stewart. I'm very surprised that Rotherham fans have turned on him, because he is the last person that Rotherham fans should be turning on.
And everybody says when we talk about Rotherham over the years that they are really, or should be, a good Division 1 team, and anything more is a bonus,
But that's the problem, isn't it? When you have a lot of success, and there's a lot of people who've maybe grown up, generations who've only known Rotherham. Oh, a back-to-back promotion with Ronnie Moore, back-to-back promotion with Steve Evans, Paul Warren's got him up again. That's all they're used to. They're not used to seeing Rotherham under Danny Bergara. I remember going to Millmoor and watching, they couldn't buy a win, couldn't buy a goal. They're not used to seeing Rotherham in League 2. And when that's a dangerous thing sometimes, because the expectations are too high.
Keith, your thoughts?
I echo what Rob has said, because I think in Tony Stewart, I think if most football clubs had a chairman of his calibre, then football would be in generally a better place and not require the new sort of regulator that's going to go in place. So I feel somewhat sorry for Tony Stewart that his club are not performing as well as they should do. I think that Steve Evans is as experienced a manager as you could get. I think he, in the past, has done extremely well. They've got to turn it around, and let's hope that against Cheltenham they'll do just that.
Yeah, and let's not forget this is the FA Cup and not a league game. But I guess for the fans, it's just as important, isn't it, to try and get on a cup run? Dave, your thoughts?
I think he'll put a good side out today. Steve Evans, he'll think, right, this is a chance to get them moving, and we'll not play a weakened side. Let's play as first team. I think he will anyway. Hopefully win. I think they'll win 2-0.
2-0, short and sweet. Right, we'll take a look at.
I don't know much about them.
At the Championship, we've got Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United to talk about. We'll do that after this.
Penistone Church, Emley, Stocksbridge Park Steel, Huddersfield Town, Barnsley, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, Sheffield United. This is Saturday Morning Football and Banter only on Penistone FM.
Yes, so welcome to the programme. If you have just joined us, it's Steve Wilson with you between now and 10. And, excuse me, my guests talking now about the Championship. We've got two teams in the Championship in South Yorkshire. First one is Sheffield United. Luke, I'll come to you first of all. Your thoughts on this game? It's Blackburn Rovers versus Sheffield United.
Massive.
I'd expect Sheffield United to go and get something today. On the back of last week, obviously the George Baldock deaths had a massive impact on staff and the squad of who knew him. I think now he's finally been laid to rest, that they will put that behind them and will crack on again and go and get a result today. Obviously, I think there's one eye on the big game next Sunday, isn't there? Coming up. And I've got a few Sheffield United friends, fans who are friends, and they're already obsessed with next Sunday and making sure they win that game, rather than focusing on what's in front of them at the minute. But I believe Chris will have got them focused again, and I think they'll be right up for it. And I think Sheffield United will go and win 2-0 today at Blackburn.
So looking back and in hindsight, do we think now that the recruitment of Chris Wilder over Paul Eckingbottom was the right move? Because at the time there were people saying, well, how can anybody do anything in a situation where the club is restricting bringing people in, spending money and everything? And is it the right move, do you think?
I believe so, because Chris knows the club top to bottom. But similar to, as Rob said earlier, with Rotherham and people only knowing success, the fans then expect, because Chris has come back in, that they're going to go and win league again. But it's not that easy, is it? We see with recruitment, with hands tied, the takeover still rumbling on in the background, and that takeover sort of started 6 years ago and now still there, and it's still rumbling on, and people are still wondering what's going to happen with it. Again, I think the owner just having a lack of knowledge about English football and how hard it actually is to get out of the Championship, with it being such a hard league. Yeah. But yeah, Chris is the right man for the job, and I believe there will be in and around playoffs come end of season as well.
So you've worked under Chris Wilder before then. I mean, who were the other managers that you've worked under?
Started with David Weir, obviously a very short tenure. I've seen Rob smile there, a couple of months weren't it, tops. Chris Morgan, when he was caretaker manager, Nigel Clough, Nigel Atkins and Chris Wilder. And I mean, it's a difficult question for you, but your favourite manager out of all of those? Personally, as the one probably spent most time with, it's close between Nigel Clough and Chris Wilder, but Nigel Clough, just on stories alone that come out while we were there, and did a lot for me personally at the time. I was working sort of on a self-employed basis, and he made sure that I got a full-time contract, and made me part of the staff full-time. And just a great fella, great man manager. When you're going back to things like professional performances, he would set at lads, similar like if Huddersfield game last night, right, beat these and I'll see you Wednesday. And he understood them, he understood the level and what it meant to lads to have a bit of time off, especially in build up to Christmas and things like that. Yeah. I can remember obviously the FA Cup semi-final. In the build-up to that season, we played Carlisle midweek, finished the game obviously at 10 o'clock and flew to Spain at 3 o'clock, because the Preston game had been moved to Monday night on Sky, landed back on Sunday, and I can remember all we did were hand lozenges out to lads because they'd had a few days of it, but went and got a point at Preston with no training or anything like that. Just, they would run through a brick wall for him, how he dealt with them. And Chris is very similar in his approach, a little bit more with the sports science thing being led than Nigel was, but again, the lads, as you can see, the togetherness last week. I think when they all got round, you just see the emotion in the staff's eyes that knew George as well, and what it meant to them, obviously. And I think they will rally now, and they will push on.
Good. Well, let's hope it's Sheffield Wednesday's weekend. You couldn't wait to get hold of the mic stand there, Rob. You have something to say?
I thought you were looking at me. I thought you wanted me to tell me which manager you
right.
I thought was the best, but I'm glad that you didn't ask me that question.
Right. So your thoughts on the game there? Let's.
Well, I think that's a great game, isn't it? I think what you've got to remember with United have had 2 points deducted for something that's nothing to do with Chris Wilder and the team, and if they'd had those 2 points back, they'd be second. And everyone's raving about Burnley's sort of solidity, and they don't concede many goals. Well, Sheffield United have only conceded one more goal, and I think it's that defence. It's the defence that Chris Wilder's built, and that goalkeeper is signed, which enables them to be very tough to beat. I think really, United along with Leeds, Burnley, they're the teams. I know Sunderland have had a great start, but when I watched Sunderland play Leeds, I didn't think they were that exciting. Yeah. They were lucky, obviously, that ridiculous goal got them a point. So I do think that Burnley, Leeds and Sheffield United will be the three at the top there at the end of the season, and I fancy United to get something today. I think they'll win. Good. Keith, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Chris Wilder's done a terrific job. I know that I went to a book launch, Muddy Boots, Kevin McCabe, former owner of Sheffield United. He spoke very highly. In fact, he said that Wilder was his best manager that he'd had, and then went through how he brought him to the club. But I think effectively United to win today against Blackburn, it'll be a tough ask, but yeah, good. As a Wednesday night, I'm reluctant to say it, but United to win.
And Dave?
No, I echo that, but everything that they've said. Chris Wilder's a good manager, there's no doubt about it, and he knows, as Luke says, he knows Sheffield United through and through, and I'll go for a 2-1 Sheffield United win.
Right, let's move on to Sheffield Wednesday. Time is against us as always. We've got 2 minutes 31 seconds, so let's start off with Keith. It's your team, Sheffield Wednesday against Watford.
Tough ask today. I think I'll go for a draw, and we'll be lucky to get a draw.
Consistently inconsistent again?
Yeah, I think that we've got a terrific manager. I just think that we're lacking something, and that's consistency. It's the word this morning, isn't it? But I think that's the problem. Right. It's a tough ask against Watford.
Tough ask. Dave, your thoughts?
I also think they'll get a draw. When you look at Watford, their away form's not very good, and Wednesday's hit and miss at home, but I watched them against Brentford and I thought they were brilliant Wednesday, which takes some for me to say that about them.
I'm going for a draw.
So I'm going for a draw, 1-1.
Thank you. And Luke, very quickly?
It pains me to say, but I think they might sneak a 1-0 today. You just won't have Watford on a coupon. You never know what Watford's coming to.
No, you don't.
No.
You don't.
Very good. And Rob, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think Wednesday will win. Watford have not got their captain. Sissoko has been given a suspension for 3 games after the game. So without that, I think Wednesday have played a lot better. I was at Portsmouth last week. I thought they played well against Brentford. I think Danny Rill's got them going, and even he's mentioning the derby with a wry smile on his face, which managers don't tend to do. So I think he's feeling pretty good this week. So I think if they could get a result here, maybe a point in midweek to go into the derby, I think they'll be very happy. So I think Wednesday will win, maybe 1-0, 2-0.
Good. Can I just ask, Chris Powell received the MBE this week, which is good on Chris Powell. Is he still at Wednesday? Has he gone back to the England squad?
He's very much still at Wednesday.
Is he? I thought I'd seen him training with the England squad, unless he's doing both.
No, he used to do that, and then I think he was at Spurs, and then he's at Sheffield Wednesday, and doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday put a good tribute to him. Not a tribute, but a good acknowledgement to the MBE
he's
on
a really good
social media.
And Wednesday are lucky to have him.
And we had him at Huddersfield for some time. I think just before David Wagner came in, he was at Huddersfield.
Yeah, we did. I liked him. Bought a flat cap on top because he always wore a flat cap. I bought one.
Very good. Right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. We'll do it all again next week with a different panel of guests. Thank you for your company. Hope you've enjoyed the programme.